You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Stephen, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
Welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Welcome back, my Weeaboo family. I am your host, Katrina, and with me is my husband, Stephen. We just finished episode 6 of Death Parade. What did you think?
Definitely, this would be the most, what's the best? It's the most anime episode of the series thus far. If kind of going back to those ideas of what people assume anime to be, and even when I kind of see an anime episode you watching sometimes, I see a lot of those tropes. This is one of those episodes that it's the silliest one thus far.
Yeah, it is pretty damn silly.
Because it's all, I mean, first of all, I'll give it credit. There's not a death in the title.
There is not.
It was just a cross heart attack was the name of the episode.
Yeah. And
starts off with this girl who seems kind of ditzy, I guess, in a way. She's just kind of waltzing into, she gets off an elevator, doesn't walk into the quindecum as we're used to.
Yeah, it's not the quindecum. It is Ginti's area, which is a venti.
Mm-hmm. And it has a very, what would you say the aesthetic is?
It is old-style Japanese bar.
Yeah.
Is how it's described. So you have like the little sand garden and the little, old school Japanese bridges and the parasols and the little dolls. Once you see Ginti's bar area, he has those little wooden Japanese dolls. So he kind of has that hobby just like Deckham does of making, certain little things.
Right. So she waltzes in there, and, Ginti's just like, yep, this is how it is. Like, he has no shits to give whatsoever about anything. He's just like, just get in here, let's get this over with, And she's already taken note of his attitude.
Yeah.
Then he's like, we're going to play a game. And then he said, but you got to play with this guy over here. And he points to another person in the bar who's sitting behind her. And, of course, she lays eyes on him, and boy, she goes like fan crazy because she recognizes him as a guy named Harada.
Yes.
Who is, I guess, part of a boy band.
Yeah, kind of like a K-pop type boy band
called Cross Heart Attack. So she's like, oh my God, you're Harada from the thing, oh my God, I love you so much.
Super fangirls out.
Yeah, so she's just like, and it's. Trust me when I say that anime element that everyone always assumed it's there. She's like, oh my God, you're all over. And she's just like bouncing all over the place. Her face is just like lit up and she's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, you see like the hearts flying and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely has those anime, tropes to it and everything. So
after she fangirls out, Ginti decides, let's go play the game, or, well, they got to choose their game.
Yes.
And so they hit the button, and we don't really see what it is initially, and they're like, I don't know what that game is. I've never played that before. So then they walk into a large room where the game is, and then we see a large game of what I would call Twister.
Yes.
Everybody who knows Twister, you've got the 4 colors, and you just got to put your body parts. So that's essentially what it is, but I think they had a different name for it, and I couldn't tell you what what it was right offhand. So, but it's Twister.
Yes.
If you know what Twister is.
It is Twister.
So, as they're getting ready to play the game, Deckham kind of lays it out, and then you also see a cat sitting on the floor. What did I call him?
You called him Deckham.
Oh,
Ginti.
Excuse me. He lays out the rules or how the game is played, and then we see a cat, which was his name Mime?
Something like
that. So it's sitting by a big red button, which the button controls the spinner, which tells them the color and the body part in which it goes on. And it's the board itself actually talks. So when it spins, it stops. And then the little person on the board will say blue right hand or right hand blue or whatever it is. I don't remember. But yeah, that's how that goes. So they just start playing the game. Oh, and I don't even know if I mentioned the girl's name. Her name is Mayu. And so they start playing this game. And again, silly episode because it's all about, oh, I'm putting that there. Ooh, I'm putting that there. And then suddenly he's catching and there's a lot of crotch action too.
Oh, yes.
Because
a lot of crotch action.
he first lays eye, because the way she's sitting, he can see right in between her legs.
Yep.
Luckily, she's wearing panties. And of course, she flashes back to some memory about panties.
Yeah, buying some erotic underwear.
Yeah. This will drive the man insane. And she's like, oh my God, it's working. And so he's looking at it, and then they start moving around more, and then he's doing all these, awesome moves, flipping and flopping and going like that, and her face is in his crotch, and she's like, oh my God, just getting all turned on by it. And there was even a point where she was like sniffing him or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, I can even smell his sweat.
Yeah, she's like, what the shit is going on? Anyway, but it was funny in that moment as all that was going on, and she was fangirling out. Harada even said he was a little turned off by her.
Yes. That, he just wanted the game to end because, it was just, like boring, I guess you could say. And that he didn't find her attractive. Yeah. And of course, this is all in his head because he keeps that, kind of boy band celebrity facade of just smiling and being charming and everything, but his inner thoughts are just like, well, this is a drag.
Right. And he even mentioned having a girl he wanted to go back to and kind of thought back to her, and I don't know, it was just like but as the game kind of progresses, they want to stop because they're getting tired, and then the girl mentions she's got to go pee and all this other stuff, and then Ginti says we just got to keep playing. Just that's how it works. You got to keep playing. Yeah. And of course they argued, and then suddenly he whips out one of his own little manipulator wands like we saw Deckham have. And then he presses that button and everything changes because now each one of these spaces has kind of an elemental element to it. Like red brings heat, green brings wind, blue brings ice, and then yellow is just marked as question marks. So we don't know what that is just yet. But then they start, put your hand on the red, everything gets really hot, and they're freaking out, and then they get on the green, and then they're getting blown by the wind. Then they go to the blue, and then they get frozen, and at first it's like they're just cold, but then it's like, well, we have to move to the yellow space. But they took too long, so the boy, Harada, he was frozen solid. Or at least, I guess you'd say most of his body was frozen. So he had to break free of that to get to the other, and his entire wardrobe shattered off. Yeah.
It did. Everything, his clothes and everything ripped off, and all he was left was his boxer shorts.
But then, and even when that happened, the girl was looking at him, and she had frozen snot in her nose. Just staring at him with these glowing little and they did that thing where it's slow motion across her face. It's like, what? So this is again very goofy episode, very silly. But then he gets to the yellow, and then the entire game shifts yet again because the entire floor drops out, out from under them except for the tiles they're standing on. And down below is a pit of spikes, which you would expect in a bottomless pit.
Right.
So Ginti pretty much tells them, hey, this is sudden death, so one of you's got to die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he hasn't quite told them, like, they haven't quite figured out that they're dead, so this is more toying with them. Mm-hmm. So he's just like, one of you got to die, so who's it going to be? And of course, they're both kind of batting it around, like, you know, because no one wants to die. No one wants to fall into a pit of spikes.
No.
But things do kind of get a little interesting at that point because Harada is about to kick her off.
Yes, inside his head, he states that it's either, you know, her or him, and that survival instinct of fight or flight kind of kicks in, and he starts raising his foot, and of course it shows Ginti really watching him, because like we've learned with the other games, you know, this stuff is meant to bring out the innermost darker parts of the soul so the arbiter can judge them properly. So he gets to the point where he's about to kick her, and of course she starts confessing that, you know, like her life was kind of sucky, and if it wasn't for his music and seeing him and, you know, just her love for him, that's what kept her going. And of course she goes to sacrifice herself by, you know, jumping off. And it's not for the reasons that you listeners who have not seen this are thinking. She wants to jump off because she has to pee, and she doesn't want to pee in front of her idol.
Yeah.
So she said she would rather die than, you know, pee in front of him. So, you know, she goes confessing her love and all this kind of stuff because she, you know, she's going to die, or she thinks she's going to die. And it kind of stops him, you know, from doing anything. And of course she goes and falls over the edge. Right. And he catches her. So, you know, he's telling her, like, because he did have a flashback of his girlfriend Kana. He broke up with her, and of course it devastated her, and apparently after that she committed suicide. So he doesn't want another woman to die because of him. Right. So he, you know, catches her and, you know, is telling her, you know, to come to his show and all this kind of stuff, you know, just kind of, I guess, trying to make it a little easier because they think she's going to die. And of course she falls, and when she falls, you know, she hits a spike, but it's just a giant bouncy ball. Yeah. Basically.
So, yeah, when she's down there, and I guess she decides she's going to go pee.
Yeah, well, I think probably hitting the spike, you know, didn't really.
Yeah, probably. She probably pissed herself on the way down. Yeah. But we also got to see their deaths. Yes. Which were both, I guess I didn't expect how they died, but I guess from Harada's point of view, I could see, yeah, that's possible. But for her, that was kind of messed up and sad. Yeah, because it was. Harada got revenge killed. Yes. By the sister of the girl who committed suicide.
Kana's sister, because apparently, you know, whether he knew it was her sister or not, he dated the other sister after Kana committed suicide. So, you know, she comes in and everything, and he's laying in bed, and she says she's leaving, and as she goes to leave, there's a platter. And, you know, she's left, and he lifts the lid, and there's like a heart-shaped bomb, and it says, for my sister Kana. Yeah. So that blows up, and, you know, that, you know, it kills him.
But Mayu, on the other hand, she's just, I think she just came from a concert.
Yeah,
she all
just came from his concert.
Fangirling out. Just like, oh my God, it's so awesome. It's so great. And she's getting ready to jump in the shower. And she steps on a bar of soap and slips and breaks her neck. And it's like, well, damn.
Pretty damn sad. And, you know, not only a sad way to go in general, but, you know, just the fact that.
But ironic in a way, too.
Yeah.
I guess. Just the fact that her fandom killed her in a manner of speaking, and then still wound up with the same guy.
I would say her extreme ditziness is what killed her.
That too, maybe.
She wasn't paying attention at all.
No.
I mean, who leaves a bar of soap in the middle of the damn floor anyway? So, yeah.
So they pretty much, that about that time, she's just like, I need to get out of here and change my clothes and stuff like that. And we kind of cut back to the bar scene where Harada is pretty much trying to accept that he's dead. And he's like, oh, I can't believe I'm dead. And then the girl, Mayu, comes back in wearing a kimono.
Yes.
Looking nothing like she did.
No.
Changed clothes, cleaned up and whatnot. And then Harada looks at her and he's like, oh my God, you're so hot. And then just jumps over there. And,
well, not like that.
But it goes back into that silly mode. Like I didn't expect it to go right back there, but it did. Yeah. And he's hitting on her and he's like, oh my God, you're so great. And she's like, oh. Yeah.
And of course, you're totally my type.
Yeah, the moment he says that, she's like, oh, and falls backwards into a daze of, oh my God, I can't believe he's my type. Oh my God. And then, of course, this is not... Ginti is just like, jeez, humans, man.
He's definitely not a fan of humans.
No, he oh my God, he was so mad. And then if you go through the credits, which a few episodes we've skipped the end credits because I thought, it's just a lead into the next one. But this one, maybe it's in the next episode or maybe it's not. I don't know. But they're putting on a concert for everyone.
Clavis is there, the elevator man. Ginti, of course, is there. Deckham and the black-haired woman are there. And, the, what's his name again? Harada. Mm-hmm. He comes out and is, like, putting on a concert. And, the girl is just, like, screaming off fandom, like, yay. And Ginti's like, oh, God. And Clavis is, posing along with the girl and is like all excited. And then the dark-haired woman and Deckham are just like, yay. Like all kind of monotoned and robotic. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely the oddest one thus far. Granted, we went back to, souls kind of coming through there and then seeing what happens. But we never saw them judged.
No, because their story is not over.
Okay.
So they will come back into play, both of them, and you'll get to see what happens with it.
Fair enough. So that was, I was a little curious about that because, in all honesty, if I had a choice of who goes where, obviously the, arrogant piece of shit Harada. Granted, he was trying to be nice there at the end, but he's arrogant. His arrogance led to someone dying because when he broke up with the girl, he just seemed so dismissive about it. He was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And didn't seem to realize how much she cared for him and how much she loved him and would devastate her by this. But he was just unfazed by it, and he was going to kill, Mayu. He was just like, I am going to kick your ass off of this.
Yeah.
And right into that pit. Because I do not want to die.
Yeah. And
she was just, despite her vanity of not wanting to piss in front of someone, she at least took the fall. She's like, I'll just die for this because I'm not going to do it. There was not a moment in her mind where she's like, I have to survive. She's just like, I just can't do it. Humility, screw it. I can't do it.
Yeah, she definitely would have chosen for him to live over her anyway,
So I guess what I'm trying to dig out here is, I guess the silliness of the episode's kind of throwing me in the sense of trying to nail down a theme for this one. Because I feel like we're starting to drift away from themes.
Well, again, in kind of like the first and second episodes, their story isn't over. So once you see how everything like that kind of plays out, then maybe you can pick up more on a theme behind those two characters, just those two characters, what their theme is behind them. Because it does play out in a different manner, I guess. without any type of spoilers for it or anything. But it definitely, when I watched it, I didn't see it,
Okay.
coming.
Well, see, now I'm intrigued, but I don't want to know until I see it.
Yeah.
So, because I can't. I mean, I guess with the couple in the first 2 episodes, I didn't see that twist, even though I guess in a way it was kind of evident.
Well,
you know,
I'll
when you more
definitely
look
say
at it.
it's not a twist like that. It is different,
Okay.
but I definitely didn't see it coming. I didn't see the way that it was going to play out and everything, but it was definitely interesting. And I'm glad that, they kind of come back, because in the opening, credits and everything, she's part of their little dance routine.
Yeah, I
and
thought I
shows
saw
her-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows her in the quindecum and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of get that sense that she's a returning character, and she is for at least a few more episodes, and then everything kind of unfolds. Because
Okay.
we don't really have that many episodes left.
No, we really don't. I mean, we're at the halfway mark at this point.
Yeah.
So,
We are.
how about that, guys?
So, I mean, and they're... I feel like we probably spend a little more time talking about them than the episode actually is.
Yeah.
So...
But I mean, I feel like when we have, because you take a look at some of the other episodes where we could really deconstruct what was going on and a lot of the themes and deeper themes, but when they're just kind of there, I mean, there's really not a lot to deconstruct. There was the episode itself, how it played out and what happened and what was amusing to us about it, but there's really not a lot to break down. Now, that may change once we learn the characters and we can kind of reflect back to this episode.
Yeah.
But right now, as it is, there's not really a lot to say about...
There isn't. I mean, it was kind of one of those short, sweet, episodes and everything. And, I mean, you don't really get, like, I guess... I can't say you get an emotional attachment to any of them or anything like that, but it's kind of like... Unlike the other ones that we've seen so far, you don't really get that sense of which way they should go, because you don't, I mean, you see obviously like certain clips, but you don't really get as much in-depth detail of their lives like you do like you did the other participants, I guess you could say. So it's definitely a different episode and a different way of going about it and everything. And of course we get to see more of Ginti and all that, since he was in the last episode, and you get to see more of how he runs his floor.
Right.
Versus how Decim runs his. Because if you noted that when they showed up, he didn't give them the rules like Decim does. He doesn't really explain anything other than they have to play a game and that they can't leave.
That's true.
So, he's just kind of like
I said,
he
no
just
shits
wants
to
it
give.
over with.
He's just like, get out of here. Come on.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those. I feel like he thinks that he's better than humans.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And unlike Decim, who is an unbiased, he has very unbiased opinions. He looks at everything from every possible angle to understand which way these people should go so he can judge them right. But as far as Ginti, he's more like he just doesn't care. Yeah. He didn't care that she was going to sacrifice herself or anything like that. He just, he just wants it over with. He wants his job to be short and sweet and to the point, and not a bunch of screwing around. And of course, that's basically all, they did while they were there was just screwing around, and he's just very aggravated by it all.
Now, we'll say, just kind of thinking about it now, something that was never quite explained here, and maybe it's something that will be explained somewhere in the next half of the season. Why were they sent there as opposed to the Quindecum?
I don't think As far as the tower where the Quindecum and the Venti and everything are, there are 90 floors. So I feel like as far as... I don't know if it's... I don't know. I don't remember if they ever explain why they got sent there.
So there might not be a rhyme or reason to it. Just like, well, they've got to go here. He's dealing with this, so they're going here. That goes there, and just kind of sorting it out as you can kind of go.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I kind of get that, and you could also view it as, you know, Ginti would have handled it a lot different than Decum would have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, there was no scare tactic or anything like that, like Decum has used. So maybe it's just, I mean, and then again, this episode does follow like right on the heels of the previous episode where Decum had his memory test, because as you know, Ginti is leaving, he gets told that, you know, he has people coming, so he needs to get back to his floor.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's literally right after all that happened. So, you know, Decum got the day off is what Nona told him. So, you know, it's just, I guess it's just how it plays out.
Yeah, good point. So, yeah, I mean, it was an amusing episode, very anime-esque in the sense of, you know, the silly goofiness that one might expect. Not the, you know, when you're wanting to make that argument that they're not all like that, that would not be the episode to show them of this show, to be like, oh, yep.
Yeah.
You know, because this leans heavily into that biased opinion people have when they think anime. This is definitely that. But it was, I'm not saying it was a bad episode by any means. It was amusing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was, got a few chuckles out of it, I suppose. So, I mean, it was good for levity's sake, I'd say.
It's definitely one of those interesting ones. So, I mean, it never really character built on Ginti or anything like that either.
No.
But, I mean, I don't think there's much building they can do for him because he is just kind of a plain Jane asshole.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, sees himself as something better than human beings and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely was a funny kind of, I guess, high-spirited episode.
Yep.
Definitely different than the others. And it's going to be different than the ones that are coming after, so...
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep. Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. And also youtube.com/pencil and paper productions.
Yes. And if you have any feedback, if you have any anime or anything like that you want us to give a watch, or have any suggestions, if you have any comments about it, if you love Death Parade or if you didn't love Death Parade, you know, hit us up and let us know why.
If this happens to be your favorite episode, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know.
Talk to us. Let us know.
Talk to us. But, like always, much love, my Weeaboo family, and we will see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.